Hey, okay, I tried this a few times in my house and it just did not work. Whatever. Okay, I can't believe it's Thursday again. How did this happen? It was just Thursday 2 minutes ago. Anyway, it's the end of a long fast day over here at Tzom Gedalia. But I had to get this done because it's the 10 days of Tshuva. Well, it's really the 7 days of Tshuva because there were 2 days of Rosh Hashanah which were not really days of Tshuva. And then Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement, so it's not really a day of Tshuva. I mean, it is part of it. But anyway, basically, I have to do it today because, oh, guess what? Remember I told you how the last week of the year gives you a chance to correct the entire year? So also the week in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is the same thing. It gives you a second chance. It's like Moed Bet on your test. If you failed your test, you can take it again. So if you didn't have a chance to do it, or if it just didn't work out well and you didn't quite correct all the days of the year, you have a second chance during this year. And this is the first day. So you get right into it. Thursday. First day, you get to correct all the Thursdays of the year. Friday, Shabbos, Shabbat Shuvah, the Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You have a chance to not speak any Lashon Hara and to learn Torah and to play with your kids and to be nice to your spouse and to not criticize anybody at the Shabbos table and not to scream and not to yell. Oh my gosh, how fun is that? You could do that and you can fix the entire whole year. Okay? That's Shabbat and then Sunday and then Monday and then Tuesday. Wait, where is Wednesday? Where do we get Wednesday? I'm not sure about that. Oh yeah, Wednesday. And you still have Wednesday. So you have all this week to fix up the entire year. And as we said, we like a good deal. It's a good deal, ladies. Let's try and do that. Okay. So of course I had to still do this class, even though I'm at the end of a long day with so many things that I had to do. And I've been fasting, but I'm going to fix this day for sure. And tomorrow Shabbos again, and we have to start cooking again, and we have to make the break fast. And it's not normal what we have to put up with. It's crazy. Anyway, I hope you guys had a meaningful, good Rosh Hashanah, inspiring, uplifting, and that you were really focused on your vision, and you were thinking about the future, and you really weren't doing tshuva about the past, because you remember about how we don't have a past on Rosh Hashanah, and it's all about the vision, and it's all about the future, and it's all about your aspirations and what you really, really want. Okay, so if you had this vision, if you went to shul, hopefully you did. If not, just try and remember what it is that you really were focusing on during the tefillah. You were thinking about the fact that God is king, right? And that God is the one who really decides what is going to be, and that he has created this whole entire world, and all we want is to reveal his honor in this world, to reveal Hashem in this world, which means to just make sure that we're all connecting to him, because that is what he really wanted. He wanted us, the Jewish people, to be a light unto the nations, and each and every one of us to have a relationship with him and to fulfill our destiny and to bring him into our lives, into this world. So that was our vision. And now we get plopped back into time, because you know how we were removed from time? We had no past on Rosh Hashanah because we went back to that first moment. So now we get plopped back into our old habits and our old personality traits and our old failures, unfortunately, in our past, and all the actions that we did that maybe weren't so great, and who we were and who we may have hurt in the past. And we're just going back to all of that. Now, how does that even make sense? What does that even mean? And what was the point of it all? Why did we get removed from our past just for 2 days? And then we had this judgment day, right? On what? On just our vision, aspirations, and then we get put back? What's the point of all of this? And one of our Chavrusa friends was asking, she sent out some questions we could ask at the Rosh Hashanah table, and one of them was like, why does Rosh Hashanah, which is Judgment Day, come before Yom Kippur, which is like this clean slate? It's like atones for everything. Shouldn't we first get a clean slate and then have a judgment on that? So I remember I've told you in the past this story with like my math situation and how I didn't know anything in math, and I needed to do really well on this matriculation test, this extensive test that you take at the end of the year, and how my teacher allowed me to just like study the material and not have any of my average from the past, which was a failing average, not be considered in the grade for this matriculation exam. And I just had to study the material as if I was studying it for the first time, without any average of failure, like with no 50s and 40s and 48. I think I remember I got on a few tests, and she just let me take the test. But I had a few months to prepare, and she said, whatever you get on that test, we will not average in any of your past failures. But this is the condition. Whatever you get, you'll get that for your exam. That'll be your grade. But then over the summer, at the end of the year, after you already, whatever it is you know, take back home all the tests, the fail tests, and correct them. Bring them back to me at the beginning of next year, all corrected, okay? Just do the tests over the summer. That's your homework for the summer. And I remember, you wouldn't believe what I got on the test. It was a 98. And I was a failing student. I did not know anything in math. I got a 98. And then I took those tests home over the summer, and I was like, of course, I knew the material at that point, and of course I knew what to do and how to correct it. It was so easy. I was like, I can't believe I didn't know this before. So that's the same with Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. What Hashem does is He removes us from our past, from our failures, from our tendencies, from our narishkeit, all the stuff that bothered us, all our pettiness, all the stuff, okay? And He removed us. He took away from us that feeling that we can't do it because we've not succeeded in the past. So what are the chances we're going to succeed now? He removed us from that. He said, no, you have no past. Assume that this is who you are, just your inner neshama, what you want, what you desire, assuming you have no past. And whatever it is that you desire on this day, I will judge you based on that. You get a 98, you get a 98. But here's the condition. Then you're plopped back into your tests, meaning then during this week, this is what we're supposed to be doing, ladies. So listen up. We're supposed to be looking at the vision that we had on Rosh Hashanah, and then looking at our deeds and at our actions and our behaviors, and realizing if our behaviors align with that vision. If we have such a vision, if we could see ourselves in this new world that Hashem is creating, that Hashem created yesterday and 2 days ago, we're part of that vision, that light unto the nations, that relationship with Hashem. We're such an amazing person. We could be that. Now, how does that align with who we've been this past year and the mistakes that we have made and the failures that we have done? Now, Hashem wants us just to correct those failures. That's it. Take home the tests and redo them. Correct the failures. Correct the tests, meaning align yourself with your vision and figure out a strategy on how you're going to correct those failures, how you're going to fix those relationships, how you're going to fix those tendencies, those flaws that you have that are really not good. What are we going to do about it? Hashem doesn't want you to just wallow in your failure and say, I can't do it. And it's amazing that the Netziv Hashem tells us, actually in this week's Parsha, that the reason, one of the biggest reasons why we do not really change is because we don't believe that we can change. And the biggest Yetzer Hara, it's just so amazing that we're like this. The Matarat HaYetzer Hara, the point of the whole Yetzer Hara is to make us feel sheyachshov shehakadosh baruch hu azav oto legamrei, to make us feel that Hashem totally left us, and that it's not only that there's hester panim, that it looks like Hashem left us, that we are sort of in a hidden world where we don't quite see Hashem. We really start feeling that Hashem really left us and Hashem's really not here. And it's not just like a matrix. And it's not just like we're living in some kind of like an illusion that Hashem is not here, but we start really thinking that all of our actions and all of our failures are so bad that we just will never change. And Hashem really doesn't want us anymore. And that is the worst Yetzer Hara. That is the worst mistake to make. And Hashem always wants, Bevadai lo heshlicha me'al panav. Hashem never chases us away or lets us fall away from Him. And we remember how we said last week's parsha, Atem nitzavim. Atem, you all stand here today. You all, and the word you all, Atem, stands for Al Tashlicheni milfanecha. Do not cast us away from you. Don't cast us away from you. Hashem never casts us away from Him. He always wants us to come back to Him. And this is what we need to do. We always have to say, no way. Tachat lachshov ech la'asot tshuva ve'lashuv el Hashem yitbarach. We just have to figure out, okay, what's the methodology? What's the strategy? How do we do tshuva to come back to Hashem? Because that's all I want. That's all Hashem wants from us, is to come back to Him. Just like a father or a mother, all they want is for their kid to come back to them and to say, I love you, I'm so sorry, I just want to come back to you. I just want a relationship. That's the most important thing to me. And no matter what, that's what happens between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We need to figure out a strategy. And also says Netivot Shalom, the most important thing that you can really get to, the root of everything, is Yirat Hashem, is a feeling of, I wouldn't say fear of Hashem, but like awe of Hashem, that there is something really great and really important here, that it's all about, it's so crucial that Hashem really is running the world, and Yirat Hashem is the most important thing. And if we can think about how to work on Yirat Hashem, on fear of Hashem, or awe of Hashem, or reverence, or realizing that we are not the most important thing going on here, that Hashem has a big plan for us, and we need to be part of that plan, and we kind of need to align ourselves. And yes, there is a little bit of a fear element that could be very helpful, because like, I remember I told you guys, like when you're driving and you have your phone in your hand, and all of a sudden you see that there's a police car behind you, you drop that phone, right? Because you don't want that policeman to give you a ticket. And okay, it's not the biggest deal, but it's also embarrassing. And yes, it is a little bit of a big deal to spend that kind of money on a ticket. You don't want that. You have a fear of having those uncomfortable things happen to you. And with Hashem, what we need to fear most of all is the loss of the relationship, the lack of connection, the distance that we have from Him. Because when we have a lack of connection with Hashem, that's when everything bad happens. Trust me, ladies. Nothing bad happens if we're connected to Hashem. Nothing bad happens. And when we have that fear, when we have that little bit of a discomfort or that feeling inside in the back of my mind that, oh my God, I don't want that to happen because that's bad things. I don't want bad things to happen. Trust me, nothing bad can happen if you're connected to Hashem. So what we need to fear is the lack of a connection to Hashem. And that's it. So the way to work on this, okay, and this is a little bit of a tip that I'm giving you, and it's a really nice idea that my husband actually was telling us on Rosh Hashanah. He says, the most important thing that you can do is come up with, it's not as important on Rosh Hashanah to come up with a, to do tshuva on everything, or to focus on, oh my gosh, we have to focus on all the little things that I did wrong, and I did this wrong, and I did that wrong. But the focus has to be on, the vision is, I am going to set aside time every single week or every single month that I will look over, do another little Yom Kippur, do another 10 days of tshuva on one day a month, okay? And the truth is that the best day to do that is called Yom Kippur Katan. It's on Erev Rosh Chodesh. The day of Rosh Chodesh, the day where Rosh Chodesh falls that night, is a good day. You can mark it in your calendar. Take your calendar for the new year. Everybody has it, right? You have a calendar that starts in September, most of us, okay? Put in for the next, you have 11 months, only 11. We're done with the first one. So only 11 months left for the year. Every Erev Rosh Chodesh, mark in your calendar, this will be my little day of teshuvah. And what that means is you look over the notes that you had before Rosh Hashanah, and now in the 7 days before Yom Kippur, we're going to have some notes. We're going to write down things, the root of the things that we're working on, the flaws that we have, the tendencies that we want to work on. I was telling you I'm working on softening the edge. I'm still working on that, and that's totally what I'm going to be working on, probably for the whole entire year. Go back to your resolutions or your kabbalot, the things that you accepted upon yourself to do tshuva on, to work on, okay? Nobody says you have to do a full job, but you need to be involved in a process of change. And it can take for the next 50 years, really, 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 okay? We don't want it to go too quickly because we don't want to be finished with our job for the, and that's it. And exit, right away. We want to have it take a long time, but at the same time, we have to make sure that it is a process and that we are entering that process now. So mark it in your calendar. The day before Rosh Chodesh, every single month, is a little mini Yom Kippur, a little mini tshuva day, where you look over your notes and you see how you're doing. Okay, look at that, softening the edge. How am I doing with that? Okay, look at your whatever it is that you wanted to do, working on one specific relationship, working on a tendency to be impatient, working on a tendency to be depressed and despairing, looking at the negative, whatever it is that you have that you really are working on, a desire to always be involved in some kind of like pleasure seeking or addiction or something that's like very that just is a distraction. It takes you away from meaning. Whatever it is, it's the root. It's usually a root thing. Like we need to be working on it. You need to come up with a strategy, and then every month you come back to that. It's called Cheshbon HaNefesh. It's Yom Kippur Katan, and if you can just at least take on to do that and make sure you do it and you keep coming back to it, if you could even find a chavrusa to do it with, that would be really, really awesome. And you can just sort of like work, be accountable to somebody and work it through with them. That would just be so great. Okay, so that's something to do during the 10 days of tshuva. And we really only have 7 days, but each and every day is possible to correct the entire year. And so let's try and do this. Okay, ladies, have a great Shabbat, a Shabbat Shuvah. And tell me how it goes. Okay, tell me how it goes. Have a good Shabbos and a meaningful, special, atoning Yom Kippur and a good year. Gemar Chatima Tova.